The next page is the front cover of Famimaga 64 magazine, featuring a focus on Nintendo's 64 games. It highlights key titles like Super Mario 64, Pilotwings 64, Fire Emblem, Kirby Super Deluxe, Super Mario RPG, and Pocket Monsters, Pokemon. There's also coverage of Blast Corps and Top Gear Rally. The cover also mentions the Wonder Project J2, with a feature on the Tokyo Game Show, and a summer strategy guide for Daikaiju Monogatari 2. The cover price is 590 yen, and it's a combined issue for August 23 and September 6, 1996. This page is an advertisement for the Super Famicom Turbo and several SD Gundam Generation games. The Super Famicom Turbo is a peripheral for the Super Famicom, with dedicated software that uses turbo coins that can be earned, stored, and transferred between games to power up characters. It has 2 game slots. The advertisement promotes 4 SD Gundam Generation games. SD Gundam Generation. Ikinen Sensuki, 1-Year War Chronicle. Based on the original Gundam series, players raise the strongest mobile suits. SD Gundam Generation. Grips Senki, Grips War Chronicle. Based on Z Gundam, featuring ricochet battles. SD Gundam Generation. Axis Senki, Axis War Chronicle. Based on ZZ Gundam, adding the colony drop scenario. Scheduled for release on August 23. SD Gundam Generation. Babylonia Kenkoku Senki. Babylonia Founding War Chronicle. From F91 and Char's Counterattack, featuring the appearance of new Gundam and large weapons. Scheduled for release on August 23. The page also features screenshots from gameplay, showing Min's class changes and battles, with the ability to recruit enemy units. 2 more games are advertised for a September release. Zanscare Senki, tentative title, and Colony Kakutuki, tentative title. All games are priced at 3,980 yen each. The next page is an advertisement for the Sufami Turbo add-on and several games that utilize it. The primary focus is the SD Ultra Battle series, with 2 games highlighted, Ultraman Legend and 7 Legend, both priced at 3,980 yen. The games feature 2 pop battles and the ability to master the special moves of defeated opponents. Screenshots showcase gameplay, highlighting character customization and battles. The advertisement also promotes 3 additional games for future release. Gekisu Sentai Karanger, Zenkai, Racer Senshi, slated for August 23. Bishujo Senshi Sailor Moon S. Fuwa Fuwa Panic 2, tentative title, to be released in September. Crayon Shinchan, Nagagutsu Dobon, also planned for a September release. 2 other games are also shown. HOI World and Yukai Dushuki, priced at 3,980 yen. This page is a full-page advertisement for Super Power League 4 on the Super Famicom. The ad highlights the game's focus on realism, with detailed player data, improved visuals, and smooth animations. It also promotes a contest where players can submit their game data for a chance to be recognized as a top player and win prizes. The game features real-life baseball commentators and includes the professional baseball news segment from Fuji TV. The game's price is listed as 7,980 yen, plus tax. The next page is an advertisement for Super Power League 4 on the Super Famicom. It touts the game's realistic gameplay, impressive graphics, and animations. A competition is mentioned, where players can submit game data to win prizes, with celebrity commentators and professional baseball news included in the game. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page is the opening page of this section. It notes that the Famimaga 64 editorial department loves Bokujo Monogatari, Harvest Moon, and asks readers what games they will play this summer. This issue covers content between August 9th and September 5th. Other features include a present campaign to win tickets to the Tokyo Game Show 96, a look at the Nintendo's spotlighted N64 titles, a feature on the latest information on the N64 from the USA, and an interview and analysis of the latest news on Wonder Project J2. Game coverage includes Pokemon 2, Wizardry Gaiden IV, Taima no Kodu, Wizardry Side Story IV The Devil's Beat, JIKU Powerful Pro Yaku 96, Live Powerful Pro Baseball 96, Daisen Ryaku Expert WW2, Great Strategy Expert WW2, Momotaro Dentetsu, and Momotaro Tetsudo, as well as Neketsu Samurai Spirits, hot-blooded samurai spirits. Finally, it features Numbers Paradise, Hisatsu Pachinko Collection 4, Sure Kill Pachinko Collection 4, and Honki Sankyo Fever Jiki Simulation 3, Genuine Sankyo Fever Actual Machine Simulation 3. The page also includes a staff list for the magazine. The next page previews upcoming game releases from August 9th to September 5th. First up is Bokujo Monogatari, Harvest Moon, for the SFC, a farm simulation game where players manage a farm over 2.5 years. Next is Akazukin Cha-Cha, Red Riding Hood Cha-Cha, for SFC, a role-playing game where Cha-Cha and her friends embark on an adventure. The tagline encourages players to reward themselves. Nintama Rantaro, for SFC, an action game where players control Rantaro and Kirimaru, using their ninja skills to rescue a kidnapped character. SD Gundam Generation, Axis Senki, for the Super Famicom Turbo, a simulation game based on Mobile Suit Gundam ZZ. Momotaro Collection, for the Game Boy, combines the action game Momotaro Dengeki and the board game Super Momotaro Dentetsu 2 into one package. Finally, Super Power League 4 for SFC, a baseball game with enhanced graphics and a replay feature. This page features several upcoming game releases. First is Atsuya Furuta's Simulation Pro Baseball 2 for the Super Famicom. It's a baseball simulation game supervised by the famous catcher Atsuya Furuta. Next is Netu Samurai Spirits, Zankuro Musoken, for the Game Boy, a comical adaptation of the fighting game series. SD Gundam Generation, Babylonia Senki, for the Super Famicom Turbo, a simulation game based on Char's Counterattack, and F91. Honki Sankyo Jiki Simulation 3 Fever, for the Super Famicom, is a pachinko simulator, developed by a pachinko maker, including unreleased machines. Daisen Ryaku Expert, WW2 for the Super Famicom, is a war simulation game set during World War II, with 152 types of weapons. Numbers Paradise for the Super Famicom is a lottery prediction software designed to help players predict winning numbers. Finally, there's a section called Pickup Maker's Voice, where the developers of Bokujo Monogatari, Harvest Moon, share their thoughts on enjoying the game. They discuss how to raise the happiness index in the game by raising livestock or expanding fields. This page from Famimaga 64 features a guide to recommended software. The magazine editors have played through various games and want to share which ones they think are worth checking out. The editors note that Harvest Moon requires a significant time investment, so it may be difficult to fully evaluate it. There are a few titles that editors gave high marks to. The page features a table that shows which games the editors have checked out. The columns indicate different editors, and the rows list the games. Symbols indicate the editor's level of enthusiasm. Concentric circles is the highest rating, meaning they highly recommend buying the game. Hollow circle means they would like to buy it. Hollow up pointing triangle means they are interested, but not ready to buy it. Some of the games included are Harvest Moon, Super Power League 4, SD Gundam Generation titles, Atsuya Furuta's Simulation Pro Baseball 2. Several of the editors are RPG fans, action game fans, simulation fans, shooting game fans, and so on. There's also a section dedicated to Super Mario Club, specifically discussing SimCity Jr. and Wizardry Gaiden IV. SimCity Jr. is described as a simplified version of the PC game SimCity, allowing players to enjoy building a town. Wizardry Gaiden IV is praised for its high degree of freedom in party formation and dungeon exploration. This page is an advert for the Tokyo Game Show 96, which takes place from August 22nd to 24th at the Tokyo Big Site. The advert highlights upcoming 64 information, game, and event details, and the various manufacturer booths. It calls itself a perfect guide to the event. This page provides a guide to the Tokyo Game Show 96. It highlights some of the main games being exhibited. Some of the games include N64, Choukukan Niter Pro Yaku King, Baseball, Wonder Project J2, Korlo no Mori no Josette, Super Famicom Dragon Quest II-1, Street Fighter 02. Super Chinese Land 1, 2, and 3. SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2. Streak Fanjuan Famicom Ken Gaiden 2. Jikyu Golf Tournament 97. Jikyu J. League Perfect Striker. Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 4. Super Nazopuyutsu. Super Nazopuyutsu. Sakatrus. Naka. Wild Choppers. Super Life Game 3. Kuanpa, Pebble Beach no Haran New Tournament Edition. Magical Drop 2. Bokuju Monogatari. Monstania. Super Bomberman 4. Human Grand Prix. In Formula 1. Street Racer. The page also includes a map of the show floor, indicating the booth locations for various companies, including Compile, Konami, Square, Capcom, Banpresto, Enix, Atlas, SNK, T&E, Soft, Hudson, Human, and more. The next page provides information about stage events happening at the Tokyo Game Show 96. The stage events calendar lists activities from August 22nd to August 24th, including an information program, original events with cult quiz segments, game music band stages featuring Konami and Compile, live anime voice actor performances, and mini-lives by Melody, with voice actor live performances from Hiroki Ishikawa, Sakura Tange, and Shiho Niyama, as well as an appearance by singer Melody. The schedule also includes public broadcasts and recordings from Bunkahoso Radio, such as the Yaruki Man Show with Terumi Yoshida, and the Multi-Tengoku Show with Oji Hiroi. Other events include a cosplay parade and a charity auction. Additionally, there are conference events with different sessions for business and young audiences, covering topics like TV game network systems, game industry transformation, digital copyright, TV game ethics, game software financing, and marketing strategies. Finally, there's an urgent notice regarding a ticket giveaway campaign for Famimaga 64 readers, with instructions on how to apply by sending a postcard with specific details. This page features information about the exhibitors at the show, including Nintendo, who will be showcasing software compatible with their hardware. The page highlights the degree of completion of the games being showcased, events and presents, and activities at the booths from different developers at the show. Imagenia is presenting Super Spatial Niter Pro, a baseball game for the Nintendo 64, where the current version is about 50%, complete with a target of 60% for the event. The players, teams, and stadiums are all named after real people. Epoch Co. are showing Doraemon on the Nintendo 64. If you go to the Doraemon booth, you will receive a free Doraemon gift if you are one of the first 150 people. Doraemon, Shizuka-chan, and others move freely in polygon graphics. Enix is showing Wonder Project J2, Colero's Forest Josette, Super Famicom, and Dragon Quest II-I for the Super Famicom. A playable demo of Dragon Quest II-I is showcased. Capcom is showing Street Fighter 02 on the Super Famicom. This version is complete. The theme of the booth is based on summer. Culture Brain is showcasing Nintama Runtaro specials, Super Chinese World 1.2.3, SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2, and Puzzle Nintama Runtaro for the Game Boy. Also Nintama Runtaro specials for the Super Famicom. There is a Nintama Runtaro tournament with prizes. Kemco is presenting Blade and Barrel for the N64, where you can play a 50% room version. The next page details Konami, Compile, Seta, T&E Soft, Data East, Hudson, and Packin Videos lineups for the Tokyo Game Show 96. Konami is showcasing a number of N64 titles, including Mystical Ninja starring Goemon 5, Jikyu Golf Tournament 97, Jikyu J-League, Perfect Striker, Jikyu Powerful Pro Baseball 4, and Mahjong Master. Konami will also have a Tokimeki Memorial Corner with original artwork, goods, and history exhibits. Compile is showing Super Puyo Puyo 2 for the Super Famicom. Visitors can also participate in Puyo Puyo tournaments. Seta has the N64 title Scent, Andrews, Rev Limit, and Wild Choppers on display. Jet and eSoft is showcasing Super Life Game 3 for the Super Famicom. Both Kuanpa and Pebble Beach no Hatu Nu are playable, and there will be tournaments. Data East is showcasing Magical Drop 2 for the Super Famicom. Hudson is showcasing Super Bomberman 4 for the Super Famicom. Visitors can play the game and participate in 10-player battles using the Saturn Bomberman game. Packin Video is showcasing Bokujo Monogatari and Monstania for the Super Famicom. Human is showing Human Grand Prix Formula 1 for the N64. UBI Soft is showing Street Racer for the Game Boy. This page introduces two N64 titles: J2 Wonder Project by Enix and Quanpa by TNE Soft. J2 Wonder Project is an adventure game where the player teaches human emotions to the mechanical girl, Josette. The article highlights Josette's expressive animations and encourages players to interact with her at the Tokyo Game Show '96 to experience the game before release. There are screenshots of Josette in various scenes with her bird companion. The game completion is estimated at 50%. Quanpa is a puzzle game by TNE Soft, where the player rolls a cube to clear colored panels, similar to the other TNE Soft game Super Life Game 3, with the intention to add an easy mode. This edition is still under consideration. A versus mode tournament is planned at the Tokyo Game Show '96, where visitors can play the game. The game's release is set for September, with 100% of the room expected to be displayed at the show. There are also comments from the developer regarding the gameplay. The next page showcases three upcoming 64 titles. First is Choukukan Niter, Pro Yakyu King by Imagineer, a baseball game emphasizing smooth camera angles and cinematic presentation, with the reviewer looking forward to the game's dynamic camera. And the game completion is at 60%. Next, Epoch's Doraemon, tentative title, features the popular character in a 3D action-adventure. The game is currently 30% complete, and will feature the familiar world and characters of Doraemon in polygon form. Finally, Kemco's Blade and Barrel is a 3D shooting game where players control helicopters and tanks. The reviewers highlight the game's high-quality graphics and anticipate further improvements. This title is 50% complete. The page also mentions Konami, Seta, and Human, who will also showcase N64 software. An SFC version of Human Grand Prix 4 is pictured at the bottom. This page is a full-page advertisement for Develo Starter Kit Basic Edition, a toolbook that allows PC Engine users to create games using BASIC. It includes a CD-ROM, floppy disk, and promises an easy introduction to game development. There is mention of an assembly edition, also available. A purchase order form is at the bottom, detailing the products and prices, including an MSX cable. The ad also lists the system requirements for PC Engine, PC98, and MSX. The next page is an advertisement for the magazine Virtual Idol, now a monthly publication. It features a cover shot of Mariko Kuda and promises bonus items, including a special desk pad. The magazine aims to provide timely information about virtual idols, including games, radio programs, events, and scuds, and will include game and voice actor coverage for titles like Dukyusei 2, Tokimeki Memorial, Sentimental Graffiti, Galaxy Fraulein Yuna S, Dragon Knight, and Megami Paradise 2. The magazine will also feature voice actors, such as Mariko Kuda, Hikaru Shina, Mami Kingetsu, Yuko Miyamura, Shiho Kikuchi, Tomo Sakurai, Kikuko Inoue, and Mina Tominaga. The magazine is on sale for 880 yen. This page is an advertisement for Wonder Project J2, Corlo no Mori no Josette, Wonder Project J2 Josette in Corlo Forest, for the Nintendo 64, slated for release in 1996. The ad features artwork of the game's protagonist, the mechanical girl Josette, and promotes the communication adventure aspect, emphasizing how the player's interactions will affect Josette's emotions and actions. It shows in-game screenshots of Josette. The next page features an emergency verification of the 1996 Nintendo 64 lineup, focusing on games planned for release by the end of the year. The page highlights Wave Race 64, a racing game where the movement of water is a key element. It showcases the unique physics and handling that set it apart from other racers. Reviewers praise the water's realistic graphics. The reviewer notes the game is slated to be released in September with a price of 9,800 yen. The game features acrobatic jumps, two-player split screen, and a replay mode. The magazine also mentions that the game has a replay mode, and that the viewpoint can be freely changed. This page highlights three upcoming Nintendo 64 titles: Star Fox 64, Kirby's Air Ride, and Tetrasphere. Star Fox 64 is featured, noting the polygon graphics of the Super Famicom version have improved. The game includes varied combat stages in space, on land, and in the air. There are multiple R-Wing variations and scenes showing Fox McCloud in the cockpit. The reviewer speculates about Fox leaving his ship to engage in combat on foot. The game is slated for December with a price of 9,800 yen. Kirby's Air Ride from HAL Laboratory is highlighted as a 3D world where Kirby rides a board. The reviewer notes it's different from traditional side-scrolling Kirby games. It is also noted that up to 4 players can play at once. The game is slated for December, with a price of 9,800 yen. Tetrisphere, from French developer H2O, is described as a 3D puzzle game. The reviewer notes that the game involves fitting blocks onto a sphere, and the gameplay system is still unclear, and the reviewer speculates what the icons on screen may mean. The game is slated for October, with a price of 9,800 yen. The next page previews 3 upcoming Nintendo 64 games: Mario Kart 64, Yoshi's Island 64, and Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. Mario Kart 64 is touted as a major upcoming title, with its release scheduled for November at a price of 9,800 yen. The article highlights the improved graphics and fast-paced action, as well as the returning characters and items. The reviewer also speculates that the 3D stick on the Nintendo 64 controller may be used for more than just left and right movement, and that it may be used to tilt the vehicle. Yoshi's Island 64, scheduled for December at 9,800 yen, is described as a new dimension of 2D action, with 3D graphics, but not polygonal. Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire is portrayed as a faithful recreation of famous scenes from the movie on the Nintendo 64, scheduled for October for 9,800 yen. The review mentions a variety of modes, including 3D shooting and action modes. Lastly, there are smaller previews of other games like Blast Corps and 064. It mentions a strong lineup of new games coming out by the end of the year. This page of Famimaga 64 is a feature on Nintendo Power Magazine and Nintendo of America. An article advertises Nintendo Power as the exclusive source for official information and mentions that USA Hotline delivers monthly Nintendo 64 information from America with articles on overseas developed games. It highlights Top Gear Rally as a recent preview. The page notes that Nintendo 64 is popular in Japan and that the game sold in America and Japan at almost the same time. People were so eager to buy a Nintendo 64 that they would fly to Japan to get one. The page also includes an advert for the Nintendo 64 console in Japan. A topics section highlights Top Gear Rally and Blast Corps, while the preview section features Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. The next page in Famimaga 64 reveals the first screenshots of Top Gear Rally by Kemco America. With the game's release about a year away, the images, taken from a promotional video presented to Nintendo of America, showcase the development team's capabilities. The most impressive scene from the video is a nighttime race on a rough road, where the shaking headlights create a realistic feel. The game offers 2 modes, one with realistic car handling and physics for a challenging experience, and another more accessible mode for enjoying races against rival cars. The reviewer finds the screenshots promising and highlights the forest and desert stages, with attention to the backgrounds. They also note a night driving scene with impressive visuals and a snowy stage that looks slippery. This page is a topics section featuring 3 Nintendo 64 games. First, Blast Corps by Rare is a game set in a bleak future where nuclear missile threats persist. Players must clear paths for missile carriers using vehicles like bulldozers, preventing explosions. The reviewer notes impressive graphics and a compelling scenario. Next, Dark Rift by Tokai Engineering, known for Golgo 13, shifts development from NES to N64. This fighting game features smooth graphics and camera work. Tokai Engineering's involvement is seen as a significant move. Finally, Super Donkey Kong 3 by Rare is highlighted for its graphics and character rendering on the Super Famicom, suggesting a possible Japanese release. The reviewer notes smoother animation than Super Donkey Kong 2. The next page is a preview of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the fast-paced and exciting action of ice hockey, promising an immersive experience on the N64. The page emphasizes the game's collaboration with NHL superstar Wayne Gretzky, aiming to recreate the feeling of watching a live broadcast. It suggests that the game captures the appeal of the sport, with action so intense that players may struggle to put down the controller. The article briefly mentions that the developers from Williams Entertainment, who also worked on NBA Jam, have incorporated elements to enhance the gameplay and presentation. This page is a preview of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the Nintendo 64, with a focus on its 3D graphics and fast-paced gameplay. The developers claim the complete 3D graphics are a major draw, and that the game provides a unique sense of control. Players can choose from various camera angles to get the best view of the action, and even change angles during gameplay. The game also supports up to 4 players simultaneously. The control scheme is said to be intuitive, allowing players to easily shoot, pass, and perform other actions. The character's smooth movements are thanks to the N64's 3D stick. The page shows that players can engage in fights, even dropping their sticks for a punch. The teams are color-coded for easy identification, and the team logos and player numbers are accurately represented. The developers claim that they have worked to create detailed graphics that fans will appreciate, and they even plan to incorporate the faces of all NHL players into the game. The next page continues the preview of Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the Nintendo 64, describing its development as a collaborative effort between pro players and game enthusiasts. The development team was comprised of hockey fans, and collaborated to create a game that would be a dream for them. Motion capture was used, with Wayne Gretzky recording his moves for the game. The game features advanced AI that adapts to the player's skill level, providing a personalized gaming experience. The AI will adjust its difficulty based on the player's performance. The game's AI gradually becomes more challenging. The page notes that the release date is currently undecided in Japan, and that the game has had some success in America. The game's graphics and characters aim for a realistic feel. Japanese players may not be familiar with the sport and its rules. The developers hope to provide an enjoyable experience even for those unfamiliar with hockey. The page has screenshots of the gameplay, highlighting the details and features, such as team logos and accurate player numbers on the jerseys. There is also a description of a move, where the player shoots and raises both hands to appeal to the audience. This page is an interview with Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, about Pocket Monsters 2. It teases interesting details about the upcoming game, promising new Pokemon and features. The interviewer discusses the game's development, touching on the new monsters being created, including the beautiful Who, and the prospect of encountering Pokemon with strange shapes. It is stated that the total number of Pokemon that will be available is unknown, and that the number of Pokemon being added will be revealed over time. The interviewer questions Tajiri regarding the types of new Pokemon that will appear in Pocket Monsters 2, the evolution method, and more. The next page features a queue and a section about Pocket Monsters 2, with questions and answers about various aspects of the game. It discusses whether the evolution methods will change, and assures players that existing evolution methods like leveling up and trading will remain. New evolution conditions are teased. The developers hint at new Pokemon evolutions. The article confirms that, like before, there will be 2 versions of the game released, with the possibility of different colored cartridges. Trading between versions to catch 'em all will continue to be a key feature. Players can expect to use Pokemon caught in the previous game. The communication cable will allow trainers to connect both games and battle each other. The article touches on the stage of the game's development, which is around 30%. There's a brief mention of Who, the legendary Pokemon, and wondering where trainers will be able to encounter it. The developers are working hard to release the game and ask everyone to wait for the launch. Screenshots from the game are included, showing the player character and various Pokemon. This page is about Mystery Dungeon, Shirin the Wanderer, GB the Moonshadow Village Monster. The game's release was delayed, but its quality has improved. The game allows players to adjust the difficulty level and provides hints. The Scroll of Return is a new item in the GB version. The player can now recruit cats and dogs. Also, the article discusses the changes based on difficulty level. On easy mode, players must rescue Nagi to complete the dungeon, while on hard mode, they must rescue Fumi from Orochi. There is a section on the Phase Problems feature, hinting that solving all of them may unlock something special. The page also includes a list of problems to solve in the game, with check marks to indicate progress. The page discusses conditions for clearing the game, mentioning that meeting certain conditions like difficulty will unlock special dungeons or items. Chunsoft requests that players try out the warehousing mode, and the staff also thank players for waiting for the release of the game. The next page has the title Game Boy Now and highlights upcoming Game Boy titles. Several games are mentioned and featured, including Samurai Spirits Shizumaru, which is nearing release. The page mentions that even with new titles being released, the GB still has titles in development from Nintendo and third-party developers. An advertisement for the overseas version of Donkey Kong Land 2 is shown. A sequel is in the works. Other games featured on this page include Super Chinese, Hiryu no Ken, and Nintama Rantaro. The review in Nintendo Power Volume 87 praises the graphics and sound of Donkey Kong Land 2. This page promotes a series of commemorative stamps honoring the works of Kenji Miyazawa, a renowned author of children's stories. It showcases several stamps released over the years, each featuring a different story like Wildcat and Mountain Cat, Night on the Galactic Railroad, The Stars of Yotaka, the biography of Gusko Budori, and more. The page also highlights a new stamp release featuring Miyazawa's portrait. A blurb also explains the significance of stamps and their purpose. It also shows some other stamps that were released recently. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Dai Kaiju Monogatari 2, or Super Shell Monsters Story 2. It highlights the strategy guide covering from Chapter 7 to just before the final battle. The guide focuses on detailed maps and monster data. This page covers Chapter 7 of a game called Dark Continent, and it directs the player to head to the Tomina Palace. The page features a map of the Sheldred area after the floating continent has fallen, marking locations of towns, villages, dungeons, and other points of interest. It details where to go after descending from the upper levels, including various towns and dungeons. Additionally, it gives tips on defeating a boss weak to thunder attacks, and finding information from Dr. Sparna in Taunter's village to locate Ktomina Palace. Finally, it guides the player through Longbridge after defeating Sharpener, and also gives a choice of scenario selection, including where to go to proceed with Chapter 7b. The next page focuses on the game Dark Continent, specifically concerning information about Jordan. It advises players to gather information in the towns of Kimoy and Kotai. It also reveals a secret passage to Jordan's mansion in Marinol, which is under Jordan's control. The page provides solutions to riddles posed by Jordan's subordinates, and offers tips for navigating the town and rescuing a captured old man and child. It also discusses teaching specific skills to the characters Kupi and Lumiera, and describes where to get the bird back. The page highlights several events and locations in the game, including receiving a commemorative item for being the 10th customer at the hotel, rescuing a bird, and finding items in a warehouse. This page details Area B, Dark Zone, from Chapter 7, outlining how to overcome 3 traps to escape. It emphasizes collecting companions within Areas 13, noting their locations on the map. To escape, players must defeat Desk Knight and rescue the 3rd companion. It also provides a treasure list, item placements, and maps of the area, including the forest, the buttons, and the Dark Zone. The guide also highlights the importance of obtaining a lamp to open doors and rescue companions. This page dives into Chapter 8, Visitors of the Underground World, focusing on pursuing Jordan into Ktomina Palace. It instructs players to head to the Salam or Marina Town to reunite with all companions before proceeding to Ktomina Palace, warning that the underground monsters are stronger. The guide details the journey from the surface to the underground world. It outlines the battle with Red Baron, a subordinate of Beauty, near the exit of a cave, highlighting their weakness to water-based attacks. The guide directs players to descend to the underground world and speak with the village elder to initiate the Flame Altar game, where players must press buttons corresponding to lit flames to win jewels. The page includes a map of the underground world with labeled locations, also describing the location of treasure and key items. Location 1 gives the Summon Beast Pisidion, the 2nd location allows mining for 2 items, the 3rd location is a save point, the 4th location allows players to play the Flame Altar game, and locations 5, 6, and 7 each have items to collect. Finally, at location 8, a villager will reward soil. Finally, the page denotes that you can teleport to the Ktomina Palace once you have visited it. The next page details strategies for Ktomina Palace in Dragon Quest VI. It covers defeating Neodune, acquiring the key from Ashiwa to rescue Dragobird, extinguishing 4 flames to open a door, and strategies for defeating Jordan and rescuing the Queen. To defeat Neodune, players are advised to aim for his weak points, as shown on the screen. To rescue Dragobird, Players are instructed to press switches in the order of smiling, angry, and sad face icons after examining them. After this, there are 2 switches to activate to advance, and players must illuminate 4 points to open a door. Finally, it describes how to follow Jordan on Auto Heaven and defeating Jordan before he turns the party into pigs. It includes a list of treasure chests. This page presents a detailed map and guide for the Kutamina Palace in Dragon Quest VI. It highlights specific areas and mechanisms, such as switch locations, door puzzles, and the paths to rescue Dragobird. Key areas are marked with letters, showing the interconnected layout of the palace. Additionally, it points out where the hero might be tempted by Dark to betray the public, leading to a battle with Neodune. The map also notes that you must push 2 switches to proceed, and this allows access to a place you could not get to before. This Dragon Quest Monsters 2 magazine page details several side quests before entering the Dark World. Players must battle M10 to reconcile it with Dr. Hawk. Recruiting subordinates is possible at a circus near Marina LN. Summoning Fat Badger is achievable by visiting the time-carving ruins. Learning the rushing sword technique is possible in Donut Island's forest. Reuniting with Tran in the Black Devil ship involves visiting the time-carving ruins. Finally, the page details preparing for the final chapter, the Precipice Palace, by acquiring 4 elemental attacks, fire, wind, earth, and water, to control the Super Shell Dragon and break the palace seal. Players must save their progress before breaking the seal. The next page is a monster list for Dragon Quest Monsters 2 from Chapter 79, detailing enemy names, weaknesses, how to get Julna transformations, and learn Pokon spells. For example, Skull Mask is weak to light and uses Banga and Megat magic. Air Riders are weak to thunder and wind, and Dragon Mail is available. Dark Priests are weak to light and use petrification magic. The page also includes a table of Pokon spells, with their MP cost and effects. This page presents a collection of monsters from Dragon Quest Monsters 2, with details on their attributes and abilities. The list includes Bear Fighter, weak to fire, water and poison; Gaguga, weak to water and land; Hellbatafly, weak to fire; and Hagamushi, weak to rainbow diamonds. Other monsters listed include Umimizu, Hayakume Madushi, Grand Ipe, and Danger Melon; Watcher, Grand Cutter, Tsusiningen, and Barabira. Desufishu, Killdiver, Asubara, and Barbarian are also shown. Mantle Snake, Tripgel, Little Gorma, and Gamma Captain are also listed. Additionally, there's Dark Flower, Helltrier, Poppy Salamander, and Gaia Battler. Poison, Hydra, Flare Ankle, and Gasmagin, Skyface, Hangloader, Dark Griffon, and Weapon Fry are listed as well. The next page features Simulation Pro Yakyu 2, a simulation-style baseball game where the player acts as the manager. It highlights the importance of player stats, showcasing how to analyze data to improve team performance and win. The page includes screenshots of gameplay, such as team lineups, player stats, and in-game action. It emphasizes that understanding player parameters is key to success, with over 20 stats for each player. The page shows various player stats, including batting power, fielding ability, pitching stats, and various types, and how they affect gameplay. There are explanations on how different parameters like pitching form, control, ball quality, pitching ability, and clutch performance affect pitchers. The page also features Yakult Swallows team data, including player names, stats, and team information. This page is a continuation of the Simulation Pro Yakyu 2 coverage, diving into player stats and team data. It features detailed stats for players across the Yakult Swallows, Hiroshima Toyo Carp, and Yomiuri Giants teams, including batting and pitching data. It shows various data about baseball players, including performance ratings, and also various stats. It emphasizes understanding stats to improve team performance. The page also talks about the different players, with a few lines of text. The next page continues the coverage of Simulation Pro Yakyu 2, focusing on player stats and team strategies. It presents detailed stats for players from the Chunichi Dragons, Yokohama Bay Stars, and Hanshin Tigers, providing pitching and batting data. The analysis highlights key players and their abilities, emphasizing how these stats can inform team management and player selection. It also mentions that with the Hanshin Tigers, the coach should focus on maintaining the condition of the players. The page emphasizes the need to manage the team's condition and utilize strategic player rotations. The next page presents player stats and team analysis for the Pacific League teams. In Simulation Pro Yakyu 2, it highlights the Oryx Blue Wave, Chiba Lotte Marines, and Saibu Lions, detailing player abilities in batting, pitching, and fielding. Key players from each team are spotlighted, with strategic suggestions for team management. For the Chiba Lotte Marines, it is said the team should lean on the pitchers. This page continues the player stats and team analysis from Simulation Pro Yakyu 2, now focusing on the Pacific League teams, Nipponham Fighters, Fukuoka Daiei Hawks, and Kintetsu Buffaloes. It breaks down player abilities and various skills, suggests strategies for team management, and pinpoints key players. For the Fukuoka Daiei Hawks, the team should focus on using the speed of their base runners. For the Kintetsu Buffaloes, the team is desperate for talent and will need to rely on foreign players. The next page features additional information on the Game Best Selection broadcast, highlighting upcoming Super Famicom titles, available from August 11th to September 7th via Street Giga satellite broadcasts. It shows the schedule for upcoming games with screenshots. The page previews titles like Kirute Terzo, a sound novel by Chunsoft, and Surit, Fishing Tarot, a fishing game. Soul Blazer is a RPG, where you need to defeat enemies and free the captured souls. The more you set free, the more the towns rebuild. The page also includes tips for the fishing game featured here, with a close-up of a black marlin. It states, to catch the black marlin, it takes skill and patience, and feels great to catch. Games and time slots featured in the broadcast are Super Fire Pro Wrestling and ActRaiser, Super Bomberman 2, and Kid Clown's Crazy Chase. Super Fire Pro Wrestling and ActRaiser, BS Ranch Story, Super Bomberman 2, and Seiken Tridon. Super Fire Pro Wrestling and ActRaiser, Super Bomberman 2 and Kid Clown's Crazy Chase, Sakama Ryoma Game and Okaraku Course, Super Formation Soccer and Soul Blazer, Sakama Ryoma Game, BS SimCity. This page is an advertisement for Wonder Project J2, Corlo no Mori no Josette, for the Nintendo 64, with the tagline, Private Photo Get. It features artwork of Josette, a young girl, and a mechanical bird-like creature. The ad highlights the interactive and communicative aspects of the game. The text advertises the game with phrases like, all about Josette's charms, stating that the game features smart conversation techniques and an insight into the girl's psychology. The release date and price are listed as TBD. The game is tagged as Adventure, and the cartridge size is 64 meters. This page is a guide on how to communicate with Josette in Wonder Project J2, Corlo no Mori no Josette. It explains that Josette is an AI character who makes decisions based on player interactions, and that the player uses the bird-like interface, Bird, to communicate with her. The guide highlights the usage of the 3 face buttons on the Nintendo 64 controller. The gray button is for ignore, hold, or doesn't matter. The green button indicates negative responses, and the blue button indicates positive responses. Depending on the button used, Josette will respond differently. For instance, using the blue button will get a happy response, whereas the green button may result in an angry reaction. The next page continues the guide on communicating with Josette in Wonder Project J2, Corlo no Mori no Josette, explaining the 3 types of responses she can give. Using the controller buttons during dialogue will influence Josette's thoughts and actions. The guide details that the blue button indicates a positive response, the green button indicates a negative one, and the gray R button is for ignoring the question. Depending on the button chosen, Bird will perform a specific gesture. The page also explains how to teach Josette to use items through dialogue, stating this is important for game progress. It also shows how, by using the book item, Josette can begin learning the local language. This page highlights the impressive use of polygon graphics to express subtle emotions in Wonder Project J2, Corlo no Mori no Josette. It describes how the game focuses on character expression, achieving a level of detail difficult to accomplish with polygons, and how the full animation style brings warmth to the CG graphics. The page also shows a series of frames depicting Josette's expressions and actions within the game's environment, commenting on the smooth animations and detailed movements. It mentions Josette's cute poses and facial expressions, including a scene where she appears to be thinking, and a scene where she is smiling with her hand to her mouth. The next page dives into Josette's living space from Wonder Project J2, providing a data file look into her home and daily life. The page is split into sections showcasing different areas of her residence, including the main room, kitchen, and control room, alongside captions that describe each location and what Josette does there. There's also a private shot featuring Josette water skiing with a boy nearby on a surfboard. The text describes the two islands where Josette lives: Blue Land Island, originally a quiet volcanic island inhabited by deep-sea fishermen, and Mega Float Noah, a giant artificial island where most of the population resides. It mentions the island's population of around 5,000 people, consisting mostly of fishermen, miners, and laborers. The page also mentions that Blue Land Island and Mega Float Noah are connected by large pipes, and that the island has both mining sites and an airbase. The page ends with a campaign to win a Wonder Project J2 original card, and includes the details for submitting an entry, including name, address, age, and comment on the game, and express any opinions on it, to be sent to Famimaga 64 editorial department. This page features an interview with Noriyuki Tomiyama of Givro, the development company behind Wonder Project J2. The interview focuses on the shift from the Super Famicom to the Nintendo 64 for the game's development. Tomiyama discusses the reasoning behind sticking with 2D animations, despite the trend of 3D polygon graphics. He explains that they wanted to see if players could feel the same connection to a polygon-based Josette as they would with a traditionally animated character. He also mentions the initial struggles with the Nintendo 64's capabilities, particularly with polygons, but notes how impressed they were with the console's graphical power, especially the ability to compress and quickly decompress data for real-time animation. Tomiyama highlights the efficiency of the Nintendo 64's CPU in handling the game's complex animations, explaining the benefits of combining polygons with background videos. The page also includes the beginnings of character designs by Akihiko Yamashita, who designed Josette, with illustrations of various poses and expressions for the character. This page continues the interview with Noriyuki Tomiyama, discussing the development of Josette's artificial intelligence. He explains how the AI is structured using flowcharts, and explores the process of imbuing her with personality, emphasizing the importance of her dialogue, and how it can be interpreted in various ways. He touches upon the challenges of memory capacity, and the need to prioritize certain elements, like focusing on actions in the game. He shares the challenges of development, and how he spent 3 days working on AI. He asks players to give Josette a try and enjoy the story. The page also features preliminary character design sketches of Josette by Akihiko Yamashita, showing different poses and expressions. One sketch is highlighted as being closest to the final design, with minor changes made to her outfit. The next page is a full-page ad for Fanta Soda and a Nintendo 64 contest. You could win a Nintendo 64 console, 150 winners, or a game, 1,500 winners, by collecting Fanta labels. The ad features Mario, cans of Fanta Grape and Orange, and a Nintendo 64 console and controller. This page is a Famimaga 64 magazine page, featuring a reader's request top 30 chart. The top 3 games are: 1. Super Famicom Dragon Quest. 2. which has surpassed 400 points and is unbeatable. 2. Mario Kart 64, which is back in second place, and has high expectations. 3. Dai Kaiju Monogatari 2, which is in third place due to pre-release hype. The page includes a screenshot of Street Fighter 02, and notes that it is expected to rise in the rankings. There is also a note that the game screen of another title is of very high quality, and has been ported well. The chart lists the top 30 games, their hardware, manufacturer, release date/price, and points. Some notable games on the list include Super Mario RPG 2, The Legend of Zelda 64, Wonder Project J2, Super Mario 64, Bokujo Monogatari, Shining Scorpion Let's Go, Pocket Monsters 2, Mother 3, SimCity Jr., Super Power League 4, Yoshi's Island 64, Energy Breaker, Eikazuken Cha-Cha, and God, Umi no Nushitsuri, GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 96 Kaimakuban, Renas 2, Super Famicom Turbo SD Gundam Generation Axis Senki, Kirby's Air Ride, Wizardry Gaiden IV, 064, Dukusei 2, Nintama Rant. The next page features a section called Famimaga Readers' New Game Reviews and Readers Ranking 96. It showcases reader-submitted reviews and ratings for various Super Famicom and Game Boy titles. The games reviewed include SFC Star Ocean, praised for its beautiful graphics and character, with some criticism of the battles. SFC GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 96 Kaimakuban, Real Baseball, commented on the absence of certain players. SFC Super Trump Collection 2, Blackjack, and 10 types of games are playable. GB Namco Gallery Volume 1, noted for the appeal of Mappy and other classic Namco titles on the Game Boy. GB Bomberman Collection, features 3 Bomberman games in one package. G page provides reader scores for each game, broken down into categories such as character, sound, enjoyment, value, operability, enthusiasm, immersion, and originality. A table summarizing the reader ranking methodology is included at the bottom of the page. This page features game reviews for Super Nazo Puyotsu, Ru no Tekiwan Hanjioki, SD Ultra Battle, Ultraman Legend, SD Ultra Battle, 7 Legend, and Traverse. Super Nazo Puyotsu. Ru no Tekiwan Hanjioki is praised for its challenging puzzle gameplay, but criticized for its short story mode and difficult puzzles. SD Ultra Battle, Ultraman Legend, and SD Ultra Battle, 7 Legend, both on the Super Famicom, are discussed, with comments on the strategy involved. Traverse is lauded for its beautiful graphics, but criticized for its confusing event triggers. The page also includes reader opinions and a call for reader submissions for the Readers Ranking 96 section, seeking feedback on new games. This page presents the weekly sales rankings from July 15th to July 21st and July 22nd to July 28th. 8 new games were released, with 6 making the rankings. Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 96 Opening Edition and Star Ocean took the top 2 spots, while Super Mario 64 lagged. The GB software had a strong showing, featuring Pocket Monsters and Mogura Nya. Umi no Nushitsuri also performed well. Looking at the second chart, Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 96 Opening Edition holds the top spot, followed by Star Ocean. Super Mario 64 drops to 3rd. Mogura Nya and Pocket Monsters appear on the list. SimCity Junior appears at 9th. The page lists the top 20 games by ranking, game name, console, manufacturer, and points, with additional details and screenshots accompanying the rankings. The next page is an information corner from Famimaga Journal, featuring various events and goods, including a contest for The Cat is Number 1. The page highlights the results of the Fufu contest, with winning cat photos submitted by readers. The winner is Sakai Yuki, with her cat, Gigi. Second place is Sato Takeshi and Uchino Tatsuo and Fukanga Hiromi. There's an advertisement for the Fire Emblem, Genealogy of the Holy War, Complete Strategy Guidebook, and CD set from NTT Publishing. It will include setting materials, game strategy, character data, and a romance system. The original soundtrack is also being released as a 3 Candelas set. 3 people will win a set as a prize. This page features an advertisement for Terror in the Dark, a spooky haunted house attraction at Tokyo Gulliver, open from July 27th. There is a contest for the Ninja Boy Rantaro Coloring Contest, where you can win a Nintendo 64. The page also introduces the Star Ocean official guidebook, which is packed with strategies and secrets. The game Star Ocean is highlighted with screenshots and character skills. The guide is priced at 980 yen. There is mention of character building and clear events, along with action stage tips. This page is a collection of CD, video, and book releases. A Studio Ghibli original picture exhibition is taking place, featuring works by Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, with cell art, background paintings, and other artwork. Several CD releases include Energy Breaker Original Soundtrack, Daikaiju Monogatari 2, Tokimeki Memorial Vocal Best Collection 2, Twinbee Paradise 3 Volume .3, Game Sound Collection Volume 1, and Magical Girl Fancy Coco P Act .3. Deal releases include Kishin Duji Zenki and Ninku Ninku, both on VHS. There is also an event celebrating the 40th anniversary of Tetsujin 28 Go, Gigantor, and the works of Mitsuteru Yokoyama. Lastly, a contest is being held for Tetsujin 28 Go, Gigantor, Sofubi figures, and instructions for how to enter are detailed. The next page is a reader survey and gift section for Famimaga 64 magazine. The page explains how to apply for gifts by filling out a postcard with answers to a questionnaire. The questionnaire asks for information such as your school or occupation, gender, age, what games you own, which magazines you read, and what kind of game information you want to see more of, like game reviews, walkthroughs, or new game previews. There are also questions about recently played games. The available presents are listed as Wizardry Gaiden, IV, GQ Powerful Pro Baseball 96, Daisenryaku Expert WW2.
Hisatsu Pachinko Collection 4, Neketsu Sunrise Spirits, Kankuranai Musoken, Momotaro Collection. The page includes instructions on how to fill out the postcard correctly, and emphasizes being careful when writing numbers. Finally, it lists the winners of the previous Famimaga 64 No.1 present. The winners are listed by prefecture and name.
This page provides further details on the reader survey and gift section from Famimaga 64 magazine. Readers can apply for gifts by sending in a postcard, filling in their address and phone number, and indicating which of the listed games they own: Famicom, Super Famicom, Game Boy Pocket, Disk System, Twin Famicom, Virtual Boy, or Nintendo 64. Readers can also select which new Super Famicom game they would like to win, from a list including Renas 2, SimCity Jr., Energy Breaker, Spriggan Powered, Earthlight, Luna Strike, Table Game Assembly, Shogi, Mahjong, Hanafuda, and Two-Side.
Super Famicom Turbo SD Gundam Generation, 1-Year War Chronicle. Super Famicom Turbo SD Gundam Generation, Grips War Chronicle, Great Monster Story 2.
This page is a survey form titled Questionnaire Reply Form. It includes a section for ranking favorite games, with spaces to list the top 3 games from first to third place, numbered 1 through 18. There's also a section encouraging readers to write their thoughts and opinions about recently played games and the magazine itself. A dashed line indicates where to cut the form. This page from Famimaga 64 presents a reader survey featuring various games across different Nintendo platforms: Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, Game Boy, and Virtual Boy. The survey lists games like Wave Race 64, Kirby's Air Ride, GoldenEye 007, and Mario Kart 64 on the N64.
Super Famicom titles include
My Goddess, Energy Breaker, and Super Power League 4.
For Game Boy, there's Street Racer, SD Gundam, and Bomberman Collection.
Virtual Boy games include Out of the Death Mount and Virtual Block. Additional sections in this issue include a list of current articles, a directory of gaming magazines, and a listing of game consoles. The next page is an advertisement for Super Power League 4 on the Super Famicom. It highlights the game's improved graphics and unique gameplay systems like base running. The ad also focuses on player data based on past seasons, and provides tips on how to win with each of the 12 teams in the Central and Pacific Leagues. Screenshots show gameplay and stats, emphasizing the importance of player rotations and team management. The game is slated for release on August 9th, and will cost 7,980 yen. This document provides strategies for Super Power League 4, focusing on specific teams. The Yomiuri Giants strategy emphasizes shifting Nagashima and Hirosawa's batting positions for offensive power, highlighting Hara and Tatsunami's hitting prowess. The Hiroshima Toyo Carp strategy emphasizes a strong starting lineup and Ogata's importance, while also focusing on first base. The Yakult Swallows strategy focuses on team balance and utilizes Furuta's positioning for O'Malley. The Chunichi Dragon strategy features Sundan Jail and new players, recommending Tatsunami and Powell's batting positions. The Yokohama Baystars strategy centers around pitcher Sasaki and strong offense, with Rose batting before the foreign players. Finally, the Hanshin Tigers strategy recommends Wada in the leadoff spot and building team confidence, relying on Yabu's pitching. The next page features strategies for the Super Power League 4 baseball game, focusing on several teams. The Seibu Lions strategy highlights key players like Sasaki and Kiyohara, emphasizing their powerful offense. Their recommended batting order includes Sasaki as center fielder, Matsui as shortstop, Cooper at third base, and Kiyohara at first base. The Chiba Latte Marine strategy emphasizes pitcher Irabu and a lineup of good hitters. Their batting order includes Hirai as right fielder, Morizumi as center fielder, and Hori as shortstop. The Oryx Blue Wave strategy focuses on pitcher Noda and batter Ichiro, emphasizing their ability to score runs. Ichiro is placed in the leadoff spot, followed by Fukura, Taguchi, and O'Neill. The Kintetsu Buffaloes strategy highlights pitcher Akahori and a strong batting lineup, while emphasizing that the team lacks overall power. Their batting order includes Omura as center fielder, Oishi as second baseman, and CD at first base. The Fukuoka Daie Hawks strategy features Slugger Ogu, focusing on how to minimize mistakes and score runs. The recommended batting order includes Muramatsu as left fielder, Hamana as shortstop, and Liddy as right fielder. Finally, the Nippon Hamfighter strategy emphasizes pitcher Shimazaki and a strong cleanup hitter, while the pitching is generally weak. The recommended batting order includes Hirose as third baseman, Ducey as left fielder, and Tanaka as shortstop. This page is an advertisement for a Superpower League 4 tournament on Famimaga 64. Players can submit their 12-digit password from the game to enter and win prizes. The rules state that resetting during matches and using edited players are forbidden. Rankings are determined by win percentage, team batting average, team defense, and home run count. Prizes include a Nintendo 64 console, Hudson Soft Games, and original goods. There is a contest with winners' names appearing in the N64 Power League 64 game. Other prizes include physical goods. The deadline for entries is October 31st. The page also includes an application form with fields for name, address, age, phone number, and password. The next page is an advertisement for Wizardry Gaiden, IV, Throb of the Demon's Heart for the Super Famicom. The ad highlights the game's setting in an Oriental world, a departure from previous entries. It emphasizes the need to seek out 3 sacred treasures. The game is a direct sequel to Wizardry Gaiden 2 on the Game Boy, and characters with a certain title can be imported from it. It showcases the appearance of enemies and dungeons in a traditional Japanese setting. The page mentions that monsters and backgrounds are Oriental themed. Clearing one tower influences the others, and the player can start and enter different towers, offering strategic gameplay. The game is scheduled for release on September 20th and will cost 8,000 yen. The next page provides an overview of preparing for an adventure in Hirenjo, Crimson Lotus Castle, from Wizardry Gaiden 5e, Throb of the Demon's Heart. It details several key locations and activities within the town. Character creation/training grounds. Players start by creating characters, choosing from 11 races and 14 classes unique to the Gaiden series. You can reclass your character to a more suitable profession. Benton Tavern. This is where you form your party, which can consist of up to 6 characters with good, neutral, or evil alignments. Adventurer's Inn. Here, adventurers rest to recover lost hit points and magic points, and replenish spell uses. Daikoku Store. Players can purchase equipment and items here, equip their party, and identify cursed items. Kandori Temple. The temple heals characters afflicted with status ailments like paralysis or petrification, and revives. The page also mentions other points of interest, such as the stable, which does not restore health, and the ability to level up once enough experience points are earned. Finally, it includes a drawing of the Kandori Temple interior, and highlights the importance of purchasing healing items for new parties. This page features the game Wizardry Gaiden IV, Throb of the Demon's Heart. It focuses on exploring the towers surrounding Hirenjo. The player is tasked with retrieving 3 sacred treasures hidden within these towers that are sealed by a demonic tribe. The page introduces the Hirenjo area map and highlights 4 towers. 1. Immovable Tower.
Described as more of a castle, this tower has a traditional Japanese interior. Enemies resembling ninjas and mountain ascetics appear. 2. Tower of the Dead. This tower evokes a sense of unease with its graveyard setting. It is filled with ghosts, demons, and perhaps angels from another world. Quote, 3. Tower of Illusion. Built with ivory walls, this tower resembles a Western-style castle and is home to fairy-like monsters. 4. Training Ground. This tower is a maze designed for training, where monsters defeated serve as a means to advance. The page offers gameplay tips, such as examining tombstones in the Tower of the Dead to encounter zombies, and interacting with dolls in the training ground to find their owners. It also shows that after clearing all 3 towers, a new dungeon appears, which is structurally the same as the dungeon from Wizardry 1. The next page highlights combat in Wizardry Gaiden Vor V, Throb of the Demon's Heart, emphasizing the strategic use of weapons and magic to defeat enemies. It details weapon types, including short-range, mid-range, and long-range weapons,
each affecting which enemies can be targeted from the front and rear rows. The page also explains how item attacks can unleash powerful magic effects and affect monster stats. There is information regarding magic usage, including the 4 magic systems which consume and unleash different spells, as well as how certain magic is only effective against specific enemies. Special character attacks that depend on the character's race or job class are detailed. Several screenshots show different spells and combat scenarios. Examples include a monster breathing acidic gas, a spell that targets the entire enemy party, and various character-specific spells from the alchemist, priest, and mage classes. This page is an advertisement for GQ Power Pro Wrestling 96 Max Voltage on the Super Famicom. It highlights the game's features, including 50 wrestlers, a story mode where you aim to become the champion, 4 game modes, and 3 different fighting styles. The game includes a tournament mode, versus mode, a league mode, and a max voltage mode for developing wrestlers. It also showcases death matches with barbed wire ropes and explosions, and shoot-style matches, focusing on grappling and submission techniques. The game was scheduled for release on September 13th. This page provides a guide on how to play GQ Power Pro Wrestling 96 Max Voltage on the Super Famicom. It details the process of training your wrestler, improving stats like strength, flexibility, and speed. The page explains how to earn and use training points to learn new moves and customize your wrestler's abilities. The page outlines the training process, including weight training, stretching, and road work, each affecting different stats. Sparring allows you to test and improve your wrestler's techniques. You can also edit and customize new moves to suit your fighting style. The guide covers the Pro Test, a test match that determines whether you can turn pro. You can customize your wrestler's costume before matches, and the page shows gameplay screenshots of wrestlers in action, highlighting the game's features. The next page is an advertisement for Great Strategy Expert WW2 on the Super Famicom, SNES. The game is a World War II simulation where players lead the German army. Releasing August 30th with 9,500 yen price tag, it boasts 152 different types of units, and includes campaigns from 19,391,945 across Europe. The game offers 20 maps in campaign mode, focusing on either the Eastern or Western Front, and features a scenario mode where players can choose from 41 stages. It offers the ability to play as countries other than Germany and allows for multiplayer matches. The game incorporates a PSI processor, which improves processing speed and reduces loading times. In-game screenshots show strategic map views and unit stats. Featured units include the PSK-1, Ju-87, BF-109E, Flak-88, and the PSK-3F, each described with brief information on their capabilities. The next page provides a strategy guide for Great Strategy Expert WW2 on the Super Famicom, offering tips on how to win. The core objectives involve annihilating the enemy and capturing their capital. The guide emphasizes the importance of eliminating enemy units and strategically advancing towards the enemy capital, noting that only infantry can capture cities. It details unit movement, enemy attacks, and building capture mechanics, as well as explaining 2 types of attacks, direct and indirect. It covers the use of supply vehicles for refueling and rearming units, specifying that ground units can resupply at cities and airports, and naval units must resupply at ports. Additionally, the guide explains how to create additional units and how to repair damaged units using buildings. The next page is an advert for Samurai Spirits. Samurai Showdown, Warriors Rage on the Game Boy. Samurai Spirits is a fighting game where warriors are traveling to hunt demons. The game features 8 playable characters, each with unique stories and special moves. The characters shown are Kubikiri Basara, Nakoru, Haomaru, and Hizamoru Shizumaru. There are also some screenshots, with text about character-specific dialogue and a focus on the ability to choose Shura or Rasetsu. This page is a guide to Samurai Showdown, Warriors Rage on the Game Boy. It discusses character selection and difficulty levels, explaining that Sword Saint mode is for advanced players, as it removes blocking. The page details the health and rage gauges, as well as time limits, hit counters, and win markers. It explains how to perform specific moves like Mikiru and evasion, using button combinations. Finally, it introduces the playable characters: Rimuru, Hattori Hanzo, Kibagami Genjuro, Galford, Tachibana Ukyo, and Amakusa Shiro Tokisada. Each character comes with a short description of their background and motivations for hunting demons. The next page is an advertisement for Momotaro Collection for the Game Boy, released by Hudson on August 9th, priced at 3,980 yen. This compilation combines the Game Boy title Momotaro Dentetsu and Super Air Momotaro Dentetsu 2 onto one cartridge. It comes in a collectible tin, similar to the Bomberman collection. The game focuses on Momotaro, who fights to liberate villages from demons, with gameplay split into 6 stages. Momotaro can transform into 3 different characters, a dog, monkey, and pheasant, by collecting kibidango, each with unique abilities. The pheasant, for instance, can fly. Momotaro's main weapon is a peach, which he throws at enemies. Defeating enemies with peaches yields coins. There are also boss battles at the end of each stage, such as a giant rolling ball. Plus, the game features a password system, so players can continue from where they left off. This page dives into Super Momotaro Dentetsu 2 for the Game Boy, a board game where players aim to become the wealthiest president in Japan by purchasing properties and accumulating assets. The game involves rolling dice to move across the board, with destinations and events influenced by the rolls. The goal is to reach destinations, buy properties, and increase your earnings. Key features include using cards for advantages, such as boosting dice rolls or attacking other players. Landing on certain spaces can trigger positive or negative effects, altering your money. The first goal is to depart from Tokyo and aim for Kochi. Players can buy properties in various cities, which yield annual profits. Landing on a destination earns bonus money. There are also card shops to buy useful cards. Be aware of King Bombi, a character who causes financial trouble. The game ends after a set number of years, and the player with the most assets wins. The next page features Numbers Paradise, a game by Acclaim Japan scheduled for release on August 30th, with a suggested retail price of 8,800 yen. This Super Famicom game focuses on predicting numbers for a lottery-like game. The page offers tips on how to play and improve your chances of winning. It mentions numbers 4, where you bet on 4-digit numbers, and numbers 3, where you bet on 3-digit numbers. The game includes an easy-to-use mode for beginners, a mode for detailed prediction based on past results, and even a mode to track your spending. It suggests certain numbers to try, emphasizing that luck and data are important. The next page is an advertisement for Hisatsu Pachinko Collection 4 by Sunsoft, scheduled for release on August 30th for 9,980 yen. This Super Famicom game allows players to enjoy pachinko games. The page showcases 6 pachinko machines that can be played: Kyoraku, Tenukichi-kun 2, Oryusan, Supershot, Bird Shake, and Fruit Paradise 2. It explains that the game features a variety of pachinko styles, including digital pachinko and games with special rights. There are also 2 modes in addition to Nifty Serve mode: Practice mode and Strategy mode. The game includes modes for practicing and for researching the pinball tables. The game also includes a real-world mode for playing for 3 months with 100,000 crossing. This page is an advertisement for Sankyo Fever 3, a Super Famicom pachinko simulator game by Boss Communications, scheduled for release on August 31st for 7,480 yen. The game boasts realistic simulation and diverse features, including drum part close-ups and variable hit probability. 2 game modes include strategy for setting up and actually playing, and researching. The title has options to change the background, sound settings, and personality analysis. Fever Megalopolis SP and Crossing Fever Say are 2 of the machines featured. A yet-to-be-announced machine is also included. The next page features Sufami Turbo, highlighting its unique aspects and upcoming games. It describes the Sufami Turbo as a cartridge adapter for the Super Famicom, allowing for combined gameplay and data exchange between compatible titles. The page spotlights 3 upcoming titles: Gekisu Sentai Karinger, a side-scrolling action game based on the Power Rangers series; SD Gundam Generation, Axis War, a strategy game; and SD Gundam Generation, Colony Combat Record. Screenshots and brief descriptions of each game are included. A unit class change chart for SD Gundam Generation, 1 Year War, is also included. Mobile suits, such as the RX-79 Gundam and Zaku, are represented, showcasing their upgrade paths. This page is from the Famimaga 64 magazine, in a section called RGB Maniac, which seems to focus on reader submissions and fan content. The page includes a reader submission area called Comaniac, featuring 4 panel comics and comments on various games. One comic references Treg, noting its ability to strike allies by mistake. Another references Romancing Saga, asking if the Southern Plains editorial department dislikes it. The page also features a craft project section, where readers make their own items. Inspired by games, the readers have created a sewing doll of Charlotte's. Finally, there's a section called Princess Chatty, Special Edition Challenge the Topic, which looks like a comic strip featuring the character Princess Chatty. In one panel, a character slips on a banana peel, followed by more characters reacting to the incident with various expressions. This page continues the reader submission section of Famimaga 64 magazine. The first section is Maniac Theme Picture Corridor, showcasing reader-submitted artwork based on chosen themes.
The current theme is Decisive Moment.
One submission depicts a couple kissing. Other works include comical scenes, such as Tina transforming into a magical beast, or a slime wiping out a party. The reader comments range from humorous observations to personal preferences related to the submitted artwork. The next section is Let Me Sing My Song. The editor encourages readers to share their favorite game music. A reader suggests music from Misty Arc. The editor then mentions a song Holiday from Super Robot Wars. They talk about the music and how it makes them feel. There is a reader submission that reads, Mio looks cute even with glasses. The final section shows small 4-panel comics from readers about various decisive moments. One strip shows a character with a camera catching people off guard. Another shows a character caught eating sweets.
This page is a mix of reader submissions, artwork, and a manga strip. The top portion is the Gentlemen and Ladies Social Gathering Place Maniac Picture Gallery, where readers submitted game-related artwork, with the editor commenting on each. Some artwork includes. One submission is of the Wonder Project J2 character Josette. Another depicts a fan art of Final Fantasy versus. In the middle section are some submissions about other games, including Estopolis. At the bottom of the page is a manga strip called Princess Chatty, which is a special episode where the characters tackle a challenge. The characters are discussing the next issue's theme. They say that it is going to be based on Ayashi, and that they need to draw illustrations for the content. The next page features reader submissions, responses to fan questions, and a manga strip. The Ohagaki Maniacs Garden section highlights reader-submitted fan art and experiences related to games. One contributor recalls playing Bahamut Lagoon and encountering a glitch where a character's HP unexpectedly maxed out. There's also fan art, including one of Wonder Project J2 character Josette. The page includes a section for reader correspondence and address information for submitting content. The bottom portion features a manga strip with characters discussing changing clothes and venturing out on an adventure, referencing the party dynamic in games. This page features a technique for the game Star Ocean, highlighting how to encounter and acquire items from Santa Claus. It explains how to find Santa in Sylvalant and acquire the tree emblem and Santa boots. These items boost stats like attack and defense.
The tree emblem grants elemental attributes, while the Santa boots trigger random item drops when resting at an inn. The items are expensive, costing millions of fole, so it's best to use a money-making exploit with art. The page details a method to quickly earn fault, using a character with the art skill. This involves having multiple characters, copying expensive instruments using the magic color art technique, and then selling the duplicated instruments for profit. The page also features an image of the character Lackeus and his art skill. The next page presents cheat codes and tips for the Super Famicom game Umi no Nushitsuri 2, Legend of the River King 2. It starts by revealing that if you name your character Fun Taro at the beginning of the game, you'll start with boosted stats and items. Additionally, it showcases 3 convenient commands for the game Arabian Nights. These commands enable you to restore your party's HP or MP, or grant you 50,000 gold. The page continues with a table of more cheat codes for other games in the Super Trump Collection 2, offering features such as starting from specific levels in a game, Page 1 Infinite Mode, and more. This page is all about Fire Emblem, Seizen no Kaifu, Genealogy of the Holy War, for the Super Famicom. It introduces the character Jake, who only appears in the Famicom version of Fire Emblem. The page explains how to make Jake appear in chapters 6, 7, and 8 by positioning the characters Adian, Amid, and Linda in specific forests on the map. Jake will then increase their magic defense stats. The page also details the Mana's Love event, which occurs when Mana and Celis are placed next to each other after Connote Castle is taken, but only when certain conditions are met, such as if Aridin is killed. If done correctly, Mana's luck stat will increase. Finally, there's info on how to get the Pico Pico hammer and Pico Pico sandals. By donating 100 tam to a woman at an inn in Bazaar Town 50 times, you'll get the Pico Pico hammer. Doing the same in a northeast town will give you the Pico Pico sandals. These items increase attack and speed. The next page features a technique for the game, Traverse, Starlight, and Prairie, on the Super Famicom, focusing on an exploit. The guide highlights how to start the game with 1,000 gold, a substantial amount early on. To achieve this, when prompted by the wind goddess Jeanne at the character creation screen, you must select money as the answer to her question. The page also details another trick involving the character Hakamul. By adding Hakamul to your party in the village, you can use Hakamul's special ability to escape from boss battles. After Hakamul escapes, the other party members are intentionally killed, resulting in an automatic victory over the boss. The article mentions how equipping characters and raising stats is important. The page features screenshots from Traverse, Starlight, and Prairie, and characters from the game. It encourages readers to send in their own tips and tricks. Also has information on how to contact the magazine with questions. This Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War Guide details several strategies to obtain the Sword of Barrier, defeat Sylvia before Chapter 5, or ensure she's not in a relationship. For character power-ups, defeat Ira and Lakshay before Chapter 5, have Radovan and Tristan appear in Chapter 6, and seize Merglin Castle in Chapter 7. Positioning them correctly allows for sword training, boosting their stats. A quest involving Miyuki and Chiba's transformation into Kuroikage starts at the bookstore. Finally, a section on monster battles and increasing Mana's intelligence to recruit Doctor is included. The next page features super ultra techniques for Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. It details how to power up Diemne by returning to her hometown of Isaac. By keeping Atadian single or defeated before Chapter 5, Dikemne will appear in Chapter 6. Then, upon entering Isaac Castle after seizing it, an event with Dinemne's childhood friend Karen will occur, granting Dinemne a necklace that boosts her power. The page also covers the Super Puzzle Puyotsu game. It explains that by renaming the heroine Takara from the beginning, the heroine and Ifrit will start with level 99. It also describes a trick to make invincible Iron Puyo appear in the game by holding the left button on the D-pad for about 1 minute on the option screen. Finally, there's a piece on Arabian Nights, detailing how to make the character the strongest. This page, titled Everyone's Message Board, is a collection of tips and tricks shared by readers for various Nintendo 64 and Super Famicom games. One tip for Super Mario 64 from Hiroshima involves Mario clipping through the ceiling in the castle. Another Super Mario 64 trick is for neck exercises, where you can adjust the camera to focus on Mario's head with the C buttons. For Super Puzzle Puyotsu, there's a tip on how to quickly access the menu screen. Another tip is about going to the option mode by pressing L and R with Start and Select, enabling you to change the settings and return to the main menu. For Super Mario 64, Nagata shows how to perform a crab walk to kick up dust and make it appear Mario is farting. A way to earn coins quickly is shown from Toyama, where you can defeat a giant Goomba using a hip drop in the Tiny Huge Island course. There is a technique described for Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, where the triangle attack is discussed, which involves strategically positioning the 3 mage sisters to trigger the special move. A tip for Kakenoki Shogi Adventure Team details how to befriend and talk with the character Subota in the town level 4 and beyond, enabling conversations and the ability to purchase items. This page features Ultra Techniques for Game Boy and Super Famicom games. For the Game Boys, the King of Fighters 95, there's a technique for performing a sucking ultra killing move. This involves weakening an opponent with normal and special moves, then inputting the command for the desperation move, just as the enemy is about to be hit by another attack. If successful, the enemy will be sucked in. There is also a note about creating a looping sound effect in the options. A background change trick is revealed for Super Mario RPG,
where if you start a Mushroom Burst Beetle minigame, the background changes from the usual green forest to a blue sky. You need to have Geno and Peach in your party, with Geno in second place. A tip for the Super Famicom game, Gokinjo Bukentai, states that in June, if you talk to Makura-chan, a convenience store clerk, she will ask you to bring her a notebook from her apartment. After selecting yes, you can go to Makura-chan's apartment to retrieve the notebook. Returning it to her grants the Alphaha CD, a growth-promoting item. The page also has information on how to submit your own Ultra techniques, offering prizes such as gold, silver, and bronze coins, and mentions the requirements for submissions. There is also a fax number for submissions. Finally, the page details the magazine's submission guidelines and tips for discovering new techniques, such as experimenting with different inputs, replaying events, and fully completing games. This page is an introduction to the action game Chameleon Kid, tentative title, for the Nintendo 64. The player controls the main character to explore the world, using their tongue to grab enemies. The screenshots show the game's early stages, featuring low-poly graphics. The game will have a story mode and a versus mode for up to 4 players. The page also showcases some of the enemies players will encounter, including strange creatures with sharp teeth and a giant robot boss that seems menacing. The text mentions underwater battles with fish-type enemies are also planned. The game is being developed by Japan System Supply, with release date, price, and memory capacity yet to be determined. The next page advertises the Super Famicom SNES Pachinko game, Mini Parlor 3, by Toyomaru Telenet Japan. It features 2 pachinko machines, CR Keiba Tengoku Yushunhen V and Nansei. The page highlights the game's practice mode and includes screenshots of 3D gameplay with a blue character using its tongue to move and attack. The page mentions Keiba for horse racing fans and highlights the game's information terminal feature with game start, machine explanation, and how to play options. The game offers 8 pachinko machines to choose from. The next page gives a first look at a Doraemon action game for the Nintendo 64. The game is currently titled Doraemon, temporary name, and is being developed by Epoch. The screenshots show early development builds, with polygonal character models of Doraemon, Shizuka, and what appears to be an enemy rabbit. The article mentions the graphics are still rough, with some blocky areas that will be smoothed out. It notes that the characters and enemies are cute, and that the life gauge and secret gadgets are still being developed. The bottom of the page indicates it is an action game, where you can move left, right, forward, and back. This page features upcoming games for the Game Boy. First, there's SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2, SD Flying Dragon Fist Gaiden 2, an action game featuring 19 characters with individual stories. 3 new characters are highlighted: Ryuhi, Noel, and Taba, all available from the start. Ryuhi is fighting in a temple setting. Noel is described as a blind warrior trained in Muay Thai, who is a master of bombs and self-defense. Next is Super Chinese Land 123, a collection of the first 3 games in the series. 1 and 2 are complete versions, while 3 is a remade version. Super Chinese Land 1 involves punching, kicking, and jumping to defeat enemies, finding power-ups and keys, and rescuing Princess Girlfriend. Super Chinese Land 2 is an action RPG, where you explore, fight enemies, gain experience, and level up. Super Chinese Land 3 has been renewed, with the system being that of 2. The conversations with the townsfolk have been changed, and dungeons also offer new events for returning players. This page lists upcoming releases for various consoles, including Super Famicom and Nintendo 64. For the Super Famicom, notable titles include Ninpu Sentai Kakuranger, Akazukin Cha-Cha, Bokujo Monogatari, Harvest Moon, and Super Power League 4. The Nintendo 64 section features a range of games with tentative release dates. September includes Quanpa. October has Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, and Tetrasphere, with November seeing the release of GoldenEye 007, Blast Corps, and Body Harvest. December has 064, Kirby's Air Ride, Golf, Star Fox 64, and Yoshi's Island 64. Mike Soccer, Dynamite Soccer, Chukukan Nader Pro Yakyu King, Super Space Knight Pro Baseball King,
Multi-Racing, Wonder Project J2, Kurobo no Mori no Jusette, Kurobo Forest of Jusette, Doraemon, Blade and Barrel, Ganbare Goemon 5, Neo Momoyama Bakufu no Odori, Jikyu Golf Tournament 97, Ni-League Perfect Striker, Kindaichi Shonen no Jikenbo, Kindaichi Case Files. Finally, there are several titles with unspecified release dates, including Dragon Quest II, Donald Duck's Maui Mallard, Pinocchio, Fighting Ice Hockey, Sound Fantasy, Marvelous, Bomberman, Beatamin, and Ring ni Kakero. The next page features a preview of the upcoming Famimaga 64 issue, promising comprehensive coverage of the Tokyo Game Show 96 with lots of N64 information. Konami and Sega's hidden gems, as well as an abundance of strong titles, are teased. The issue will include follow-ups on Super Famicom's Dragon Quest II and Street Fighter Zero-2, as well as a strategy guide for Kishin Doji Zenki FX, Vajra Fight, and Furai no Shiren GB. The page also lists Game Boy releases, including Momotaro Collection, Netu Samurai Spirits, Zankuru Musuken, Super Chinese Land 123, SD Hiryu no Ken Gaiden 2, Street Racer, Puzzle Nintama Rantaro working title, Virtual Hiryu no Ken GB working title, Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer GB, Getsume Mura no Kaibutsu, Pachikun Game Gallery, and Mini 4-Boy working title. Virtual Boy games like Doraemon, Starseed, Proteus Zone, Out of the Death Mount working title, Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling, Gekitu Densetsu, Bound High, Virtual Double Full House, Virtual Gunman, and Virtual Block also appear with release dates TBD. There is a section for re-releases, listing Super Famicom titles like Base Masters Classic,
Space Invaders, the original game, Masu Kishin, and SimCity Jr.
Also, a small segment is for calendar tips to explain more about the calendar, such as release dates, titles, and Super Game Boy. Lastly, there is an advert for Fanta Soda with a Nintendo 64 prize promotion and a Mario graphic. This page is a full-page advertisement for the upcoming Super Famicom and Sega Saturn release of Magical Drop 2. Also advertised is the detective adventure game Tante Jinguji Saburo, Mikan no Rupo. Detective Saburo Jinguji, Unfinished Report, the game MVP Baseball 96, and the Tokyo Game Show 96. The next page is an advertisement for Magical Drop 2 for the Super Famicom, with a planned September 20th release at 7,800 yen. The Sega Saturn version is also planned for late August. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Derby Stallion 96. The advertisement is promoting a competition related to the game and broadcasts of the event, with the horse wearing a crown and banknotes in its mouth. It also promotes the Super Famicom Satellaview adapter for Super Famicom to tune in on the weekly event on Sundays. The Satellaview adapter sells for 18,000 yen. Contact info for support is also listed.